Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really big question.
Hmm.
With all this buzz around AI, could Google's search dominance actually be, well, facing a real challenge?
It's the question on a lot of people's minds.
Exactly.
Oh.
We've got a great collection of articles, analyses, stuff you, our listeners, shared, all pointing towards AI shaking up how we find information and, what that means for Google.
Yeah, and our goal here is to sort of cut through the noise, right? Get to the heart of these shifts happening in search.
Mm.
We want to explore not just what's changing, but I guess why it matters to you, whether you're just looking for a recipe or, analyzing market trends.
Right. So let's dive in. Where should we start? The landscape itself.
Let's do that. The whole search landscape is clearly evolving. It's not just about those familiar blue links anymore, is it?
No, it feels like the ground is shifting. And
Mhm.
a big part of that seems to be, well, conversational AI, chatbots, voice assistants. They're becoming way more central.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a stat that over half of global searches are voice-based now.
Yeah.
That just seems huge.
It is huge. It's a massive change in behavior. And even within traditional search, AI is already, deeply woven in.
Okay.
We're seeing these AI-powered engines handling, get this, over 8.5 billion searches every single day.
Wow. Billion.
Billion daily. And you've got algorithms like RankBrain, BERT, MUM doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Right, I've heard those names. RankBrain, that's about understanding the intent, not just the words.
Exactly. And BART takes it further, looking at the context of words in a sentence, understanding nuance. MUM is even more advanced. You can pull together info from text and images to give fuller answers.
Okay, so instead of typing local pizza, I might ask my phone, hey, what's a good pizza place near me? Great reviews, open late. And the AI actually gets all that now.
Precisely. It understands those layers. This whole move towards understanding intent, processing natural language, it's driving demand for direct context-aware answers. Less keyword matching, more understanding what you're actually trying to do.
Gotcha. So the way we search is changing. Okay, what about the competition? These AI alternatives popping up.
Yeah, that's the other big piece. You're seeing platforms like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity AI, Bing AI, Neva, U.com, gaining real traction.
And what makes them different? Is it just the chat interface?
Well, many are built around that conversational interface. They aim to give those direct answers, which, some people find much more satisfying than clicking through links.
Right. We even had that listener share the anecdote from X, someone saying Grok just replaced Google for them.
Yeah,
Because it gave step-by-step answers.
exactly. And you highlighted that study too, 17% higher satisfaction for planning trips with generative AI compared to Google search. That's pretty telling.
It really is. So is this actually eating into Google's market share?
Well, Google still has the lion's share, no question, but some reports do show this steady, small decline year over year, maybe 1–2% in traditional search share.
Okay.
But look specifically at the AI search market. ChatGPT is dominating that right now, something like 80% share.
80%. Wow. Okay, that's significant within that niche.
Yeah.
And it's not just startups jumping in.
No, definitely not. You've got Apple reportedly looking at integrating AI search from OpenAI, Perplexity, and Anthropic right into their devices.
Into iOS and Safari. That could be big.
Potentially huge. And interestingly, an Apple exec apparently noted the first ever drop in Safari search volume back in April. And they directly blamed these AI alternatives.
So the impact is already measurable, even at that OS level.
Okay.
So pressure's building. Google's not exactly known for sitting still, though. What's their play?
No, they're definitely responding. A big move is integrating AI right into core search. Think AI overviews.
Those summaries at the top of the results.
Exactly. Those AI-written summaries, they're already reaching 1.5 billion users monthly in 140 countries.
That's massive reach. Can they make money off that, though? That's always the question with Google.
Well, executives are claiming they are monetizing them at a similar rate, apparently, to the traditional search ads. Plus, you can't forget their massive distributional advantage, right? Android, being built into most smartphones worldwide.
Yeah, that Android integration is a huge built-in audience, and I suppose decades of data, all that investment in just making search good,
Yeah.
that has to count for a lot.
Absolutely. That history, the investment in quality, those are critical assets. Google Search still brings in over half of Alphabet's total revenue. It's
Yeah.
core. And their access to real-time stuff like Maps data, YouTube data, that gives them a perhaps unique edge for AI search context, too.
Okay, so Google has serious strengths.
Yeah.
But there've got to be challenges, right? Concerns, especially thinking about like the rest of the web,
You're right. Big concerns. One major one is traffic to websites. If people get answers directly from AI overviews, they might not click through.
which hits publishers hard, news sites, creators,
Yeah.
anyone relying on that search traffic.
Exactly. And there's this worry it could push publishers to just optimize for AI snippets, maybe leading to less diverse, maybe shallower content online overall.
Yeah, a web optimized for summaries, not depth. That's a worrying thought. And what about the ads? Google's bread and butter.
That's the other tricky part. The traditional sponsored ad model, it faces challenges. Some data suggests click-through rates on ads drop maybe significantly when AI overviews are right there at the top.
Because you find your answer without scrolling down.
Right. So Google has to innovate, find new ways to weave ads into this AI experience effectively.
It sounds like a really tricky balancing act. Adapt your core business while facing new competitors who are AI first from the start.
Exactly. And those AI-first companies, they're trying different ways to make money. Perplexity, for instance, is playing with sponsored follow-up questions.
Oh, interesting.
And even revenue sharing with publishers whose content feeds the AI answers. That kind of thing could really shake things up.
That revenue sharing idea,
Yeah.
that could actually align things better between the AI and the creators.
Hmm.
What other concerns came up? Reliability?
Yeah, that's a big one. Ensuring AI-generated info is actually trustworthy. There's this issue of data voids topics where there just isn't much high-quality info online.
Okay.
The worry is a confident-sounding AI could pull from unreliable sources in those voids and, potentially mislead people.
Because it sounds so authoritative,
Yeah.
right? That conversational style feels like a direct answer. Maybe makes us less critical than when we're sifting through websites ourselves.
Precisely. And it's not just the tech, it's user behavior too, especially younger generations.
Okay.
Yeah, Gen Z, they're increasingly using platforms like TikTok, Instagram as starting points for discovery. Fashion, food, travel. Google themselves admitted almost 40% of US teens search for that stuff on TikTok first.
Wow. So the whole journey is starting somewhere else for many people.
It's a fundamental shift. And add to that, this perception some users have that Google's regular results have maybe declined. More ads, more low-quality SEO spam.
Right, that feeling that you have to dig deeper now to find the good stuff.
Yeah, that perception, whether it's fully accurate or not, it definitely makes people more open to trying alternatives. And then you've always got the background hum of antitrust issues, which could force major changes on Google.
Okay. So putting it all together, if Google's dominance in search does weaken, the effects go way beyond just search results, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. If Google isn't the main front door to the internet anymore, that whole ecosystem they've built, Chrome, for instance, could be challenged.
Right. You can imagine, say, an AI-powered browser from ChatGPT competing directly with Chrome.
Exactly. That could really disrupt Google's distribution and user base.
It really feels like we could be at a genuine inflection point for the internet.
Yeah.
So let's bring it back to the listener. For you listening, what does all this mean, practically speaking?
Well, you can definitely expect more personalized, more conversational ways to find information. Voice search, probably going to become even more common. You'll likely find answers more often directly in those AI summaries, which could save time. But
you need to be more careful.
Yeah, exactly. Critical evaluation becomes even more important. You might not always see the original source or context easily. And of course, privacy. Thinking about how much data these AI engines are using, that's going to be an ongoing consideration.
That makes sense. We all need to adjust how we consume information. What about for businesses, content creators? What should they be doing?
They really need to think about optimizing for natural language, for voice search, not just old school keywords.
Right.
Understanding user intent and providing really comprehensive, high quality answers. That's going to be key for visibility for SEO.
And advertising.
Businesses will have to explore the new ad formats that pop up within these AI results and fundamentally building a strong brand, showing real expertise and authority, what Google calls EEAT, that becomes more crucial than ever to stand out when AI can generate so much text.
It really sounds like a fundamental shift across the board. Okay, so to wrap this up, what are the main takeaways from our deep dive today?
I think the big picture is search is undergoing this massive transformation driven by AI. It's creating both, big opportunities and some really serious challenges for Google. And it's changing how all of us find and use information. So while Google is still, the dominant player today, the rise of these AI alternatives combined with shifting user habits, it really suggests the future of search could be a lot more diverse, more dynamic.
Okay. And on that note, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. As AI keeps evolving, keeps weaving itself into our lives,
Yeah.
how will your own habits for finding information change? And maybe what's our collective responsibility in making sure the information we find, wherever it comes from, is actually accurate and trustworthy?
That's the critical question going forward.
It really is. Thanks for diving deep with us.